From the start of this office here all the way to this wall, it's child nutrition and communications and community relations, and this is where the fire impacted the most.
It was November last year that we had the fire. I actually hadn't started my job yet. I got here 2 weeks after the fire, and the first job that I was tasked to do was to get everybody to a temporary place and to start the rebuild process. So the fire devastated about a quarter of the building, but it affected the entire building with all the smoke damage and all the construction that was happening with the firefighters coming in. A lot of doors and stuff had to be replaced, so it infected the entire building, but it destroyed about a quarter of it.
In your assessment, how long did you take for your assessment to say, hey, we're going to have to do this and this and this?
My assessment was within a couple days. So when I got here, I was tasked to automatically find a place to house everybody, a temporary, we call it ESC 2.0, and get everybody over there, get everybody settled, and then start the rebuild process. I was here the entire time to help manage the whole process.
What was the rebuild process like?
So we put it out for bid, and one of the main things that we wanted was to get a company that was good with restoration. So we knew that there was going to be a lot of construction, new construction happening, but we also needed restoration with all the smoke damage that happened. So that was the first process. So we selected our contractor, and then after that, it was just move, move, move.
How was it as you saw everything starting to come together with everything being redone? Tell me about some.
Yeah, so with any construction project, it's always hard at the beginning because not a lot of stuff gets done. It's all the design phase, planning, and stuff like that. So for the first 2 months, it was really just getting with an architect trying to develop what we needed to get inside the building and to assess it. So obviously our insurance had to assess everything that was damaged, and then throughout the whole process. But once we started seeing stuff getting ripped out, carpet, ceiling tiles, paint, everything, it started to go pretty quickly. But it was a good process to see how one small thing in one area affected the entire building. So all the ceiling tiles in the entire building, just because they're porous, and so that smoke got into them. It got into all the ventilation system. All the ductwork is insulated, so all that insulated ductwork had to be ripped out. So we ended up replacing the entire roof because the roof was already past due of what it was, the lifespan of it. Not past due. The roof was at a point where it was ready to be redone. So we didn't just do the quarter that was burnt. We did the entire roof. Also, the insulation in the ductwork, when we got ready to do the ductwork in the HVAC system, we noticed that there was a lot of pieces that weren't working, and so risk management or our insurance company advised us to redo that entire thing. So all the ceiling tiles, all the HVAC, the entire roof, that was all brand new that we needed to do, as well as all the paint and all the flooring.
This whole wing used to be cubicles.
So the building was built back in 2000. It was finished in 2000. So the building is already 25 years old, which means the codes and a lot of the permits had to be redone. And so we couldn't just rebuild it. We had to get an architect involved. That had to be approved by the city. The city had to approve it in today's standards rather than it was 25 years ago. And so there was a lot of things that we had to do. We updated the entire fire control system and alarm system, which was needed. And in that whole process, I learned a lot about local codes, state codes, and federal codes that went along with the rebuild process.
There was a wall right here, and so this window and patio was not here before the fire. And then this hallway and that room here was where the fire occurred, which is why this whole wing was impacted.
We were able to remodel a lot of rooms because of the damage that was sustained. Like I said, this boardroom looks completely different than it was a month ago and even 10 months ago. We have brand new paint, we have a new sign back here, we have brand new carpet, and it was actually a happy coincidence with the new sign. It matched the new paint. We were able to get the matching chairs in here that we needed. And then obviously we have some new beautiful signs that display our mission and our statement of beliefs. And that was all just some added things that we wanted to make sure that not only were we going to redo the building, we're going to redo it better. So for the next 25 years, we don't have to worry about it. So the move out was very fast paced, right? We had to get people out because everyone was working from home during that first month of December. And so getting that temporary space, getting everybody moved, that was very, very fast paced. The move back process, we were a lot more methodical about how that worked because we didn't want to just bring everybody right back. We knew it was going to be kind of a madhouse, so what we did is we moved in sections. So we brought the business department and IT, then we brought operations, then we brought human resource. So we did it in phases to make it a lot easier to control, not just the clutter and kind of the whole moving back process, but also to make sure that everybody was situated before we moved to the next one. I started December 2nd, 2 weeks after the fire, and I think I was the #1 cell phone number on everybody's phone, calling me and asking me a bunch of questions. So I learned very quickly about how important it is to be comfortable in the space that you're in. Once people started moving back into the space, that they had new carpet, they had new paint, they had new ceiling tiles, a lot of the light fixtures were fixed, the new AC, the new roof, everybody started to relax. And that's what I wanted, is I wanted people to come back to a nice, relaxed atmosphere. But also, it's not just for the people working here, it's for the public too. This represents the district, this represents our buildings, and so we wanted to make sure that everybody that came into our facility here at the central office, they were able to see what our other buildings were like. And so we wanted to make sure that that reflected on everything that we value. Total cost was just a little over $2 million, and it was all covered by, everything but the roof was covered by insurance. So the roof was already, like I said, at its lifespan. So the 25% of the roof that was damaged, that was covered by insurance, but the remainder of the roof, so about $300,000 wasn't covered by insurance, of that a little over $2 million. Before school started in August, that's when people were coming in asking questions about enrollment and things like that, and so it was really key for us to make sure that the people were coming into an environment that was ready for them. We didn't want people to have to come in and worry about clutter here and there. We do have some rooms that we're still trying to unpack and get organized, and you might see that, but for the most part, everything has been, we've been able to get rid of some of the stuff that has been here for 25, 30 years. That's one thing that I was really happy about, is a lot of people were able to declutter their room. They're like, I haven't used this in 20 years, so I guess I don't need it anymore. You know, I gave some ultimatums by saying, hey, if anything's left in the hallway by noon tomorrow or noon the next day, then it's going to be going to the trash. So everybody was able to get rid of some of the stuff that they were just holding on to that really had no value or meaning. Even though a fire happened doesn't mean the school can stop functioning, which means that we still have to find different spaces and different areas to work. You know, we held all of our board meetings up until this last one at Forest Park. Forest Park Middle School, we were able to go in, utilize their library and hold meetings there, and I know that wasn't easy on them, because all the meetings that we normally would have in this building, we had to have in a school building. So principals were very accommodating, board members were very accommodating. You know, they are pivotal in how we run this district. They're the key players in that. And so we just wanted to make sure that they came back ready to a space that was ready to receive not just them, but receive the community. But overall, it was great. Everybody was very patient, and that was what I asked. I kept everybody updating them every month by letting them understand what was happening, so they were all understanding of where we were at in the process. We're really happy to be in this building. We did a few upgrades. Like I said, we're still in the process of getting some furniture that was damaged. And so it's going to be an ongoing process over the next little bit, but it's been a wild 10 months that I've been here.